Hello and welcome to this week's coffee vlog. It's now Friday the 14th of January 2022. The year is just flying by already, and it's 8 o'clock in the morning, pretty much as usual for me. So yeah, this week has been a little bit more steady, a bit more traditional January, bit of a slowdown compared to the first week back, which was a bit hectic. But I mean, no, by no means dead. There's still lots to do. Still a reasonable amount of coffee being roasted. We're both roasters, in fact, and had a big run with the big one on Tuesday, and I've got another load of batches to do today with this one to build up some stock. I've got some big orders, which I won't be doing all of the coffee for those orders, but I'm doing a fair bit. So yeah, it's all go, really, even though a bit steadier. Last weekend, Saturday, did call in at Blondin's, because they ordered Friday at like 4 o'clock, needing coffee for the weekend, as you do. Yes, that's the new Ethiopian c0ff33. Really nice Chef that I bought a lot of because I really liked it, and I'm glad because it is really nice. And it's very popular as well. It's gone down very well, in fact, so very pleased with that. So Blondin's, bit of shopping, bit of not a lot else actually. I've been playing a bit of Tomb Raider, Shadow of something, I think it is, one of them. There was 3 of them that were free completely on the EA launcher, so I thought, oh, you know, it's free, I'm going to give that a go. And yeah, it's actually not bad. I mean, compared to the way original classic Tomb Raider, which was a polygon hell of a mess, these sort of modern ones are much more like movie quality. Really amazing, actually. And it's kind of like a bit of an interactive movie. So you have a lot of cutscenes and talking and things, and then it sort of merges into you then controlling the character and going and doing tasks and finding things and whatever else. So had a bit of a play through that over the weekend, and it's quite good. I mean, there is some challenging bits where it can get very tricky, where you've got to climb certain bits, or you've got specific enemies to try and avoid. Otherwise you end up dying. But the one thing about it I quite like is it's very forgiving on you. So if you do mess up and die, it doesn't start you a million miles back, so you've got to redo half the level. It literally, the restart points are very close to where you were previously. So because that used to annoy me so much in games, it completely put me off. Wait, you'd sort of die right towards the finish of where you had to be, and it would throw you so far back, and you have to do so much over again. And especially if it was one of those where you tended to die a lot before you complete the actual end mission. And it was just, it put me off a lot of games, because I'd just be like, right, I've died twice and redone a ridiculous amount so much, I'm just not bothering again, because that's just annoying. I don't want to keep doing the same stuff over and over because of one little bit at the end that I'm struggling with. So so that was quite good. And other than that, a pretty relaxing weekend. Trying to get some downtime in while the month's quiet as well. But work churns on, so back to work Monday. Monday was pretty busy still, but we're still pushing through a lot of product one way or the other. As I say, Tuesday I had the downward Y piece for the ducting and this to put up. It turned into a bit of a treacherous task because the roof was, it wasn't raining, but it damp with dew overnight. And the end where the ducting is for this is the side of the roof that never really sees the sun. As the sun swings round that way, it hits the far side but not the close side, because the roofs and walls up around it cover it up. And of course any area like that that doesn't see the sun and gets damp, gets mossy and sort of licheny sort of thing. So it was just super slippery on the roof. Because New Year's Day when I went out, it'd been dry a day or two and there'd been no dew overnight, so it was dry and that was fine. You can walk up and down the metalwork fine, no problem. As soon as it gets any moisture on it, and that mossy bit particularly, just becomes super slippy. So I was trying to go up it and going back down as I was going up, and then I got a bit of grip and got pretty much up. Got the ducting off, but then I had to go back inside to get the other piece and some bits. And getting back down was a complete nightmare, because there was I sort of got onto it and then slid halfway until there's the retaining bolts for the metal roof, and that stopped me fortunately. But once I got over them, I was away back sliding uncontrolled right to the wall at the bottom. And then to try and get back up again, because I've now made it even more slippy, I ended up going up the middle and along a treacherous narrow bit between the light panels, which is like a plexi plastic type of clear panel, but they're so old now they've become very brittle, so you can't put any pressure on those plastic ones because they will just go through. So I had to go along the ridge delicately, a bit like a tightrope walker, trying to make sure I was on the ridge and not hitting where they were, because I'd start breaking them. And of course conscious of the fact if I slipped or lost my footing and fell onto them, I'd probably just go through them and end up in a heap in the warehouse, some 30 foot below, which would surprise everyone. Yeah, it was a bit of one of the many sketchy things I seem to end up doing. So I got back again, got the Y bit on, but then I had to get the rest of the top length ducting with its chimney hat on, and that was a complete nightmare again, because the slope was slippy, so I'm trying to stand on something which is constantly wanting to make me slip, hold a great big long, and it is a really long section of 300 centimetre ducting with a top heavy hat bit on it, but I could only hold it by the bottom while it's way up in the air like that to try and get it up and over where I needed to put it on the thing. And all the time, of course, it's up there in the wind and everything else, and it's wanting to get top heavy, and once it starts to go, because I'm not in the right position, it wants to fall, and I haven't got enough to... Yeah, it was a challenge. But I managed to get there with a bit of perseverance and a lot of grunting, sweating, and probably a few expletives as well. So got that on, and it is better slightly when I put the cooling on now. Not as much back pressure in here, but there's still a bit. So I think the next plan is to refurb the fan that I had out there, clean it up again, clear its path, and then apply it on the Y piece. So it'll be sucking, but also when the cooling's on, the cooling air can just go straight up and out through its thing, and that fan won't be directly in the stream sort of blocking it, and I should have a combination of suction pulling out as well as normal air outwards, and that will then hopefully resolve all issues. Remains to be seen. I wouldn't say it's horrendous at the moment, to be honest. Most of the roasts are fine. It's just when some of the darker espresso roasts, which go into second crack, they're a bit smoky. And then you do see on some of the joints of the cooling pipe work, just where they aren't quite sealed, and it'll blow a little bit of smoke out when the cooling's on. But it's only for a short while, till the majority of that smoke's gone, and it's just sucking air afterwards. So not a huge issue, certainly fine to use it. And the new little roaster, 5 kilo yellow one, has been running well. Got that hooked up to artisan profiling. So now Bob the roaster is profiling all his origins that he's roasting. So he can go back then and follow that profile to get the extra repeatability, and then he's also going to learn about the more advanced enhancement of the development phase from first crack, because now he can see what's going on during that through artisan, so it'll aid him in making use of that as well. So that's good. We've got all that up and running. Very computerized, techno-fangled things. So yeah, it's going well. So I think I've got Mr. Nellis's words of wisdom to do. Shall we give that a go? Here we go. What does he say? So how you work Windows after they were smashed before the police found out? Well, they're still boarded up, to be honest, Richard, because I've had better things to do than mess with that. I've got some of the boarding, which is proper window boarding, left over from when the upstairs windows were put in. And I think what I'll do is take the glass out and put boarding in instead. Because I just don't want to put more glass panels in. It's obviously somewhere where it would be tempting because it's a bit hidden as well. There's a bit of an alcove where those two little doors are. So it's kind of like a bit of an obvious attack point because you can kind of be a bit hidden while you're doing it as well. So I think I'll just put some proper boarding in at some point because I'm not really in a huge rush at the moment. I mean, I've cut 2 nice boards and plonk them on the outside, and they're doing the job for now. They don't look pretty, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah, that's it. That's all that's happened. The CSI took the canister. I don't imagine he's going to get any prints off it. Nothing else will happen because there's no one about to see them. Right, Richard Nell says the Christchurch murder, as he was Edward Reeve, as the teenage girl was being arrested as part of the investigation. Fair enough. I've been to Julia, was with my mum on Sunday evening, then she had an online meeting on Tuesday about a school in Huddersfield. Lovely. I saw a man who rode his motorbike on the traffic lights path at Manchester Road in Bradford at 1:40 p.m. on Wednesday afternoon. Very good. Rock Dog the films, right. IKEA cuts sick pay for unvaccinated members. Oh, sick pay, I think that might have been. Sick pay for unvaccinated members. Yeah, a lot of that's happening now, isn't it? So if you've not been vaccinated and you get ill, you're going to have reduced sick pay allowances, because I think they paid full pay IKEA if you were off sick, and now they're only going to do like the standards government sick pay volume. Will Smith blasted Oscar hopes with Screen Actors Guild nomination. Do you think Alan Sugar looks like Sidney James, as my dad thinks he does look like Sidney James? Was a joke, both Sidney James and Barbara Windsor were fired after they starred in Carry On Dick for his dirty laugh and her giggle. All right. We won't believe that it has been almost 2 years of lockdown. Well, I mean, it's been 2 years since COVID started annoying us. Lockdown wise, it's been back and forth, isn't it, really? We're still at the moment in that sort of middle ground of you've got to wear masks in retail stores but not in a restaurant or a cafe or anywhere like that, which is kind of still a bit confusing. But that's how it goes. I don't know, it's kind of tamed down a bit. It looks like the worst of the Omicron wave has come, and now it seems like we're seeing a decline in the daily amounts, which is still massively high. I mean, it's not like it's suddenly dropped to nothing. It's just not climbing every day as it has been previously. It's starting to dip a little. So, but again, with it, the bigger problem is people having to self-isolate because they've been in contact with someone who's had it, and they don't know if they've got it or not, and got to wait for tests, and the tests are pretty thin in the ground and take forever. So. Yeah, it's just COVID, whatever form or variant, is just always going to be causing so many issues, I think, because no doubt another variant will crop up in the future once Omicron's sort of leveled out, and then that will be the new one that causes more issues, and so we could end up just being in an endless circle of getting rid of one version and another one pops up, and then being back where we started, and then get rid of that one, and I don't know. Maybe we won't, but I just have this feeling that it's going to end up like that. And it's not great. I mean, we're still in work from home if you can for a lot of businesses, and that's causes all sorts of problems for all sorts of businesses that rely on office workers that aren't in the office. Even train travel and places that rely on commuters that aren't commuting hardly because most of them are having to work from home. And then there's all sorts of different regulations for companies that have had to make people work from home, where they can't necessarily force them to come back when they're allowed to anyway. If they choose not to work from home, not to return to the workplace and stick to working from home, they've got rights to actually stay and do that, which could end up with large portions of businesses that end up just being home working ones. So yeah, it's a bit of a thing, isn't it? So that's probably about as much as I think. I don't know, I've probably done about 20 minutes of waffling now. I've been playing a bit of Steam Monsters on Hive again, trying to get back into that. Discovered there's new brawl things, phrasing your guild team thing. I thought, oh well, I'll give it a try. This is probably my worst decision I've ever made because I'm completely rubbish at Steam Monsters anyway. Ended up joining by accident a gold foil only fray, which was a bit of a mess up, but that got sorted out by someone who swapped me around to another one. So I had these 10 battles or whatever there were to do. But what I also hadn't realised with these is it would limit me to only certain summoners, so I couldn't use any of the normal cards I would choose to battle with. So that just made it really like, oh, this is so hard because I don't really like any of these cards. I don't know what order I'm going to want to put them in that might get a win, and it just ended up I was just randomly choosing stuff, and I don't know. I mean, because it's like an open battle period of 48 hours. Only 3 out of the 10 had actually already selected their cards for the battle to take place. So out of those 3, I won one, which was the first one. I was like, oh, maybe this won't be too bad, and then completely got demolished on the next 2, spectacularly. And I was like, actually, no, this is going to be bad. I'm just going to lose all of these, and I'll have 1 win, maybe. So yeah, so that wasn't the best plan in the world. I think I'll leave them to their own devices battling on that, because evidently everyone else has got a far better idea what they're doing than I have on that. But who knows, we'll see. So yeah, that's it for this week's Coffee Blog. Have a good week next week, and I'll catch you in next week's Coffee Blog. See ya.